This is He Knows Everything, bringing you that heat and bar. We keeping the foot on the whoop, the Knicks. We keeping the foot on the whoop, the Knicks. And like the Tibetan mastiff that I am, man, like the Siberian tiger that I am, I'm applying whoop on immediate pressure. Because pressure does what? Heat versus pipes. Let's talk about it, man. You see why everybody's giving Kevin Durant credit? You see why Skip Bayless said what he said about Kevin Durant? And a prediction, he strikes again. And a prediction, he strikes again. Now, it just shows you that he knows everything is on the thumb, the needle, the owl, and the wave of the damn situation. You cannot compare Kevin Durant to LeBron James. I love it the way Skip Bayless gave it to Shannon Brown. Shannon Brown thought he was coming in, trying to use Skip Bayless's tactic against him. You can't use a person's tactic against them, dog. Sun Tzu, aka Art of War. You can't go into a strong man's position to try to topple a strong man in a strong man's position. You must first remove the strong man from the strong man's position to topple him. Hence, he becomes a weak man. So if he's in a weak man's position and you're in a strong man's position, hence you can topple him. But Shannon Sharpe didn't do that because he's a Ruby Poo with a plum brain. He's a classic note in a troglodyte. He's an ultra fanboy with the ultra fanboy rhetoric. No, let's contextualize it. He's a La Rudy Poo and a La plum brain. He's a La classic note in a La troglodyte. He's a La ultra fanboy with the La ultra fanboy rhetoric. Because when it's all said and done, James Harden and a prediction, he strikes again. And a prediction, he strikes again. Look, yeah, hey, listen, man. My boy Nebbit, dog, Khalil Nebbit, you gonna have to eat this. I told you, dog, that James Harden was a pure fucking beta supreme. This dude disappears. Now you see why Kevin Durant has to be option one, dog. Now, Khalil Nebbit, you understand. James Harden disappeared. If you was injured, why the fuck did your hobbling ass show up? I knew when Kyrie Irving went down, I said, fuck. I didn't tell y'all motherfuckers that shit. Because when you're a true alpha extraordinaire governed by true alpha economics, Kobe can tell you that shit. You never show motherfuckers a moment of vulnerability, not even for 1 fucking second. But after the fact, you don't give a fuck because it's done. But in that moment, you ain't showing no ounce of vulnerability. Not even 0.01%. It's just the way alpha males are wired. We just don't do shit like that. It is the way it is. But it's the aftermath. So I can tell you. Kyrie Irving went down, I said, fuck. I said, fuck. Because I already know. Batman needs Robin, dog. Kevin Durant did not have his Robin, in i.e. Kyrie Irving. The uniqueness of Kyrie Irving is a Batman in moments, but he's really a Robin, but he can have Batman moments. He's a contrarian true alpha extraordinaire governed by true alpha economics. He's like a higher grade Scottie Pippen, dog. And Kevin Durant didn't have that. See, you guys have to understand. Giannis Antetokounmpo had that in Chris Middleton. He had his Scottie Pippen, dog. See, this is why He Knows Everything is the final authority on basketball. Because everything he tells you about basketball, it always comes to be true. He told you guys, in basketball, you need an option 1, an option 2, an option 3, and a sum of all parts. But let me tell you guys something. You can get away with an option 1 and an option 2. You don't necessarily need an option 3, but your sum of all parts, they got to be clicking on all cylinders. Though. They got to be basically playing out of this world to basically gaff up the fact that you don't have an option 3. That's how you negate the whole lack of an option 3. Let me say it again, because what I said was so deep and profound. Hear me fucking well. This needs to marinate the corpus callosum and in the cerebellum. This needs to marinate the medulla oblongata. You know I'm always dropping gems and jewels. That's a new gem and jewel that I dropped. Because I never dropped that gem and jewel. But I'm dropping it. This is for the basketball 303 lane folks. You can get by without an option 3. You just need your sum of all parts. That's your role players to be playing basically at maximum proficiency. They need to be playing at the best versions of themselves. And you could trick off and get off with just option 1, option 2. Kobe and Shaq used to do this shit a lot. Jordan and Pippen used to do this shit a lot. You know what I'm saying? But the bottom line, which is as simple as this, is this. James Harden, option 3, didn't fucking show up. Why do you think I call him the 6th man of the year? Why do you think I call him Tony Romo, a.k.a. Zab Judah? Because James Harden has a tendency, and I'm glad Skip Bayless eloquently brought it up. Basketball is not just a one-player thing. It's a team sport. So you need certain key role players, integral role players, to do what the fuck they're designed to do. All James Harden had to do in the 3 fucking games that he played was show up and show out. Otherwise, don't fucking step on the basketball court. Kevin Durant had no fucking legs, but Kevin Durant gave it all out there. That's why I'm not mad at Kevin Durant, because I know he did everything that he was supposed to. If Kevin Durant would have cheated me, Kevin Durant didn't do everything he was supposed to, we'd have had a fucking problem. That 48-40 was the last time we seen that was a 45-41 with LeBron James and Paul Pierce, dog. So Kevin Durant laid that bitch out there on the basketball court. So we're not going to sit here and act like Kevin Durant didn't do everything that was destinated for him to do. But James Harden, once again, had his Tony Romo, a.k.a. Zab Judah moment. That's why I don't trust James Harden. Why do you think I said KD35 and Uncle Drew? Give them the ball and get the hell out their damn way. But Uncle Drew was out the picture. So because he was out the picture, the prediction king fashion that He Knows the Sport gave you guys when he said Brooklyn was going to win. Notice the bravado, the swag of saying that was no longer there. The luster was no longer there. Things waned. Confidence didn't wane, but the prediction waned because the prediction was set up for Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden. And Skip Bayless eloquently said that. You lost your 2 most important cogs. It was Kevin Durant versus Giannis Antetokounmpo and Chris Middleton. So I don't want to hear that shit. Because I seen Kobe Bryant by himself when he had to play against Kevin Durant, Ray Allen, and fucking Paul Pierce. That's why I'm bringing up points that make sense. See, motherfuckers get caught up. How you going to compare finals with semifinals? It's not about that. You Rudy Poo and Plum Plum Brain. You classic Doden Troglodyte. You ultra fanboy with the ultra fanboy rhetoric. Stick to the context. A lot of people, they too slow. They're not 3-dimensional thinkers. They can't stick. Stick to the context at hand. Kobe was 1 Superman versus their 3 Supermen. Kevin Durant was 1 Superman versus these 2 Supermen. You ain't gonna win that way. You need at least a battle buddy, dog, to basically drag you to the finish line. And that's what happened. That's why Kevin Durant couldn't get over the hump, because he had to deal with that. Because people forget, Kevin Durant dropped 48, but okay. Giannis Antetokounmpo dropped 40. Chris Middleton dropped 38. Let's do the fucking math here, folks. James Harden didn't fucking show up. If Kevin Durant dropped 48, let's do the math. Giannis Antetokounmpo dropped 40 and Chris Middleton dropped 38. That's 78. What's 78 minus 48? That's a 30 plus in Milwaukee's favor. You Rudy Poo and Plum Plum Brain. You classic Doten Troglodytes. You ultra fanboys with the ultra fanboy rhetoric. This is basketball's not a one guy. The superstar's supposed to go out there and get you those key games, but basketball's a team sport. And if you don't have your most integral key players, when Kyrie went down, I said, fuck. I said that shit, dog. The only person that knew that shit was Richie Rich. I said, fuck. Because I already knew at that point it changed everything. Now this is not no guarantee he's going to win. Now it's left up to chance and fate. And that's exactly what happened. Chance and fate basically said that the identity of what Kevin Durant was about to do, the identity of what Milwaukee Buck was going to do, it changed. And boy, did that shit fucking change. It is what it is, man. But you can't compare Kevin Durant and LeBron James because Lefraud James didn't leave it all out there on the basketball court. Lefraud James basically scored in garbage time. Kevin Durant basically brought that shit to overtime by his lonesome. You see, that's the difference. That's the delineation. That's the golf and that's the separation. That's why Kevin Durant is getting adulation, because everyone knew what Kevin Durant did. He not only showcased to you guys that Slim Reaper's back, he reactivated it again. The fact that this man came back from Achilles injury, something that is defeatable, dog. Something that can defeat you, something that can demoralize you, something that can debilitate you, and to be back to that elite form. But it wasn't enough. Just like it wasn't enough for Michael Jordan when he had to go up against Larry Bird in a fucking full roster ass Celtics and he was by his fucking lonesome. Just like it wasn't enough for Michael Jordan when he had to go up against those Detroit Pistons right before Scottie Pippen showed around and he was by his fucking lonesome. And then when Scottie Pippen showed up, Scottie Pippen was still wet behind the fucking ears. I mean, come on. What is not calling a spade here? What is not keeping it real here? What is not keeping it a buck and keeping it 1,000 here? When it's all said and done, we gotta look at the delineation, the distinction, the gulf, and the separation between what Kevin Durant did and what LeBron James was not able to do. The lack thereof. LeBron James got first fucking rounded. That's why Skip Bayless can laugh at Shannon Sharpe. Because y'all call this man the greatest of all time. Ain't nobody calling Kevin Durant the greatest of all time. You'll never hear me say that shit. But y'all call LeBron James the greatest of all time. And if you put that indictment on a player and then he doesn't fucking show up, it's greatest of all troll behavior. Let me say it again. It's greatest of all trolls behavior. That's the cold-hearted. That's the unadulterated. That's the cutthroat truth teller fashion. When it's all said and done, Kevin Durant did everything that was incumbent upon him to do on the basketball court. So he doesn't have to live with no fucking regrets. The only regret he needs to live with is the simple fact that, fuck, Kyrie went down, and I know that. And I knew if I had Kyrie, we'd win this shit. Because I did what I did what I had to do. And I know Kyrie would have did everything he had to do. Let me tell you something. Kyrie would have outpaced Chris Middleton. I have no doubts in my mind. Kyrie would have Ramalang his ass. But when you drop 40, Giannis Antetokounmpo, 38 Chris Middleton, and Kevin Durant has 48, that's a plus 30 in the Milwaukee Bucks' favor. You Rudy Poo and Plum brains. You classic those intro troglodytes. You ultra fanboys with the ultra fanboy rhetoric. That's the cold-hearted. That's the unadulterated. That's the cutthroat truth teller fashion. I keep the foot on the Dicks. I keep the foot on the Dicks. This is He Knows Everything. Check it out.